Hello listeners, and welcome to another week of Chasm Converses. This week my guest is Henk Plaggemars, someone I've known in the Adelaide scene for a number of years. We talk about his journey as a musician, from the US to South Australia, and he shares with us some of his techniques as a vocalist, his inspirations, and we touch on some of his past and present bands. Let's get conversing. Chasm Converses. I'm here with Henk Plaggemars, as you would very well know, listeners and one of them. But yeah, I'm really keen to know sort of how you've been with sort of your introduction to music and how you sort of got into playing bands and all that sort of stuff, and even like your influences into getting into music. Like, did you have that classic like biopic movie moment where you saw someone live and you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this? Or was it something that just sort of just randomly just came to be? Like, how was it?
Mine is way nerdier than that. So I
hooked.
Yeah. I used to live in America for about 7 years, from 11 to 18. So I had like the whole American kind of, as you would see in the movies, high school experience. It's very much the same as what it is in the movies. They are really? Not joking about that. So like the yellow buses and everything, and like the homecoming stuff and the prom and all that shit.
Oh man.
So very much the same. But this is where I actually started to properly give a damn about music.
Right.
I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft. Still do, actually. It's on my monitor right now.
Went past the house. I was like,
no, it's there. But I was like really, really into it. Every day after school, I'd come home and play some WoW, and I was just super into it. But you're doing a lot of, it's a multi, like an MMO. Right, so you're doing like a lot of grinding, and there's a lot of downtime. So you're trying to find things to entertain you whilst you're doing the grinding. And part of that was like movies and stuff and TV shows. Apart from that, YouTube was just coming up then. And a lot of people were putting music to video games and making like machinima stuff, which is like, it's like just a video game movie with music video, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the songs that came up, and one that really interested me because, it had World of Warcraft in it, was Linkin Park.
Oh,
Linkin Park, What I've Done. And they literally kind of remade the Linkin Park video in World of Warcraft, down to like a T with all the different creatures and stuff like that that's in it, and just recreated that kind of vibe there. I'm like, what is this?
Wow.
This is amazing. I really like these kind of soaring vocals, these kind of rough vocals. I love the fullness of the sound, the cinematic kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, especially linking it in with the video.
Oh yeah, 100%. Wow. Yeah, for sure. So that was like a real big draw for me. I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. I want to see what else is about the place. And that's when I started to explore things, particularly Linkin Park. I'm a huge Linkin Park fan.
Absolutely, yeah.
And still am to this day, and listen to all their albums and everything, and still listen to them now.
Have you listened to the most recent one?
Yeah, Lost.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's Meteor, actually.
Yeah, that's it.
And Sean as well, Sean Goldfinch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's a huge Linkin Park fan as well, and we're like, because we were like born like 2 days apart from each other, and we had lived separate lives. And when I came back and reunited with him, basically, he's like, yeah, man, I'm a huge Linkin Park fan. I'm like,
nice.
Sick. But he's got like all the Linkin Park memorabilia, and he bought like the whole Meteora collector's edition for like $330 or something. I'm super jealous. I'm considering doing it myself.
Definitely.
But
me too.
Yeah.
I remember Sean from this is definitely going on a tangent, but there's definitely a few house parties I remember seeing Sean at.
100%. Yeah.
And that definitely included a lot of hot sauce.
Absolutely.
But no, that's
good times.
It's a sick song. I really enjoy listening to it.
I'm very, it's very nostalgic, very, I don't know, in ways hard to listen to, I guess, but like it's pure just, Linkin Park energy, which is awesome.
It's wonderful that they put it out as well.
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah, but the thing is, I suppose still slightly on a tangent with like Linkin Park. I am a lot of people like a fan of the Hybrid Theory and the Meteora kind of aspect to it, which they were really good albums, really good. But I love the kind of maturation of Linkin Park as they went through the different albums. And my favorite, actually, and I think is one of the most hated at the time, I even hated it at the time, was 1,000 Suns.
Right.
That's
okay.
super. It's the only thing I can. It's a concept album basically.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing I can compare it to is like Dark Side of the Moon.
Right.
It's their kind of Dark Side of the Moon, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
So really awesome album experience that you listen to it in order. So super big Linkin Park fan. In any case,
Yes.
Linkin Park was like that initial kind of drive for me. I guess, I'm a 2000s kid, and it was coming up with like new metal and alternative rock stuff.
A lot of us were.
Oh yeah, 100%. So you got like Breaking Benjamin, you've got Bullet for My Valentine, all this shit, Flyleaf, all that. Yeah, Paramore.
So much like just awesome hard rock sort of shit. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So I really started to get into that sort of stuff. And that's all I would listen to. And my dad, he actually got me the first 3 Linkin Park albums, and I just would play them on repeat.
That is awesome.
And it's so much so that I actually started like singing at my computer whilst playing World of Warcraft, and also like singing and screaming in the shower.
Oh, awesome.
I never got complaints from my parents or my brother.
Wow.
Which was very interesting.
That is, yeah.
And even after I left home, they're like, I kind of miss you singing and screaming in the shower.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that's super nice.
Had you had like singing and screaming lessons before you did that stuff, or was
not
that
really.
just something that you just did?
It's something that when I put my mind to like something that I want to do, I'll practice the skills necessary. I'll take the time to figure out what kinds of things that, like particularly for my vocals, what they could do. I didn't start off as a fantastic singer or anything. I had some skills, I guess, that I figured out earlier on in life when I got chosen to sing like a solo for like Silent Night or something when I was like small kid. But it wasn't until like I got into, I think it was year 11, that I actually decided, hey, this is something that I'm looking to pursue in terms of I'm interested in singing. It's fun. I like it. And I was like learning how to rap and stuff as well because, again, Linkin Park.
Yes, definitely. There's that element to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
I went to Blackwood High School, and that was like Hills Up Pool's fun course. So around that time, I also was into that stuff.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people that I jive with now actually like listen to the same kind of stuff that I did, and we can really reminisce about that, and we have the same kinds of values as well.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
lots of fun. Yeah, to be able to really gel with those people and just go on like nostalgia trips.
Some of the best trips to have personally. It's just like, I remember that day and all that. I had one the other day. I always have one talking about wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling on this podcast.
Yeah, sure.
But
Okay.
There's always a lot of just nostalgic trips about like new metal, like 2000 scene.
Oh yeah. Yep. All that stuff. Yeah. No, it was a time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was the soundtracks that really just brought out
Exactly.
so many like songs that everyone was just like, oh yeah, see, that's how
For
a lot of like the 2000s kids discovered like heavier music and even like rap and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely through like video games and movies, I think was like a huge catalyst for that.
Massive pathway to doing
Yeah,
it. But
for sure.
That's great. Well, it's awesome that you were able to sort of sing and scream quite well in the shower, so that
it did not sound great to start off with. I'll be honest, and at times I probably did some damage to my vocals, but at the end, then you'd kind of just bring back and you kind of reel it back in, and it wasn't great at first, of course, because screaming's not something that is comes naturally. I think it's something that you need to develop and learn how to not hurt yourself. And a lot of that was learned through when I actually joined the choir.
Right.
So in year 11, or they call it the junior year in America, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of serious about singing. I like singing. I'm going to join the choir. So like that year 11, like the holidays in between year 10 and 11, I went to a choir camp, and a lot of the drama kids were very surprised to see me there. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So the first year that I did choir, I had to be in there with the freshmen or the year 9s.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just like me, a year 11, with a whole bunch of year 9s, and, just practicing the basics. I had a fantastic choir teacher called Mr. Wongerman.
Right, okay.
And he was he did all like the drama stuff, but he was super charismatic, and he'd really make things easy for you, encouraging you all along the way, and he'd be very honest with you and the feedback.
Oh, that's good.
So So he helped me learn how to control my breathing, for instance, to be able to hold notes, to be able to read music and do my scales, different kinds of vocal techniques and things like that.
Absolutely.
Just to be able to warm up. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes,
Warm-ups and things. And, because of that, and because I had done some like just freelance stuff, I guess, by myself,
Yeah.
I quickly was able to rise through those ranks, and I got into men's choir, which was a mix of all of the best men, basically.
Right.
And so you had men and women's choir, and we would do kind of choir shows, basically, and competitions and stuff like that. We eventually got to go to New York as well and be able to
really?
sing in cathedrals and stuff like that.
Oh boy,
Super
that would
cool.
have been something awesome, man.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of the cathedrals up there would have been just something to behold.
For sure.
Really.
Yeah, no, New York's a really cool place. If you ever go to America, I really recommend it. It's busy, a lot of walking, but it never sleeps.
Yeah,
you know?
and it'd be worth obviously the trip just to go there and see everything. That
Yeah,
they have to offer as well.
yeah, absolutely. I got to go twice, not for choir necessarily both times, but one of those times got to see all the musicals and stuff like that. I'm not a big musicals fan, but I got to see it.
Yeah, awesome.
But during that time when I was in men's choir, there were some of the other guys that were also in choir that were into classical metal music, and they had started a band of some sort. They had already a guitarist, a drummer, and a bassist. And I didn't know at all.
Wow.
And I used to do diving back then, like springboard diving flips and stuff off boards.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And one of my practices, I see a guy named Neil Dietrich, who was the drummer of this band, and he's coming over. And I talked to him quite a bit, and we've reminisced over different kinds of metal music and stuff. The nostalgia tricks and the video games that we play together. And he's like, "Hey, we'd like your vocals a lot. Wondering if you'd be interested in singing for our band." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's give it a go."
Cool.
So we started a band called Chaotic Paradise. We still have some of those EPs up on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, do you really? Wow.
Yeah, but there was a... They are rough.
I'm going to be searching them later.
They are rough, though. They are super rough. I didn't necessarily write the vocals, I don't think, like the words for everything.
Yeah, okay.
I was given them and had to kind of figure them out.
Yeah.
Which is fine at the time because, I'm just learning how to...
Yeah, and you've just been put in as well. So,
Exactly. But something that I learned with that was that, like, singing in a band when it's just you is super different from singing in a choir. Because in a choir, you are part of a whole collective sort of thing, whole collective of voices, and there are tricks where you are able to take a breath while somebody else is singing and then continue on the sound, and it just feels like one whole entire thing. Whereas when you are by yourself in a band, you are the only one that's singing, usually. Yeah. Right? So you are having to choose when to take the breath, taking the right breath, to be able to pronunciate properly, to be able to have the power and projection. Yeah. So then you yourself are this whole big thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that I was always striving for, I suppose, and that I learned about a lot when singing solo by myself. And it's a very, how to say, not embarrassing. It's hard to put yourself out there to just try to make a melody of some sort to some music whilst other people are jamming around you, because you feel very self-conscious about your own voice. Anybody that listens to their own voice is like, I hate the sound of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And still to this day, I get the same like I listen back to some of the recordings that I do now, and I'm like, I hate that, but everyone else around me is just like, no, it sounds like it's good. I'm like, okay, I've more recently learned to trust in myself a bit more as to what sounds right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I had that with Jack because I send demos and stuff for my sort of stuff.
Yep.
And whenever I do demos, I'm like, I don't sound very good. I had those like classic like vocal excuses like, I was a bit sick this day. I not sound very good and all that sort of stuff. And these days I'm just like, fuck, I'm going to give it to him because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
As long as he gets an idea of what I can do and what is there, he's happy. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, no, those excuses have been used far and wide.
If I just find myself in a studio with somebody else or whatever, and they give the excuse, I'm like, oh yeah, right. It's the part of me that wants to start like questioning them a bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
but not to go too far into it. But
I think it is a confidence thing. That was actually the main kind of switch, was being confident in yourself with your own voice, in your own vocals, and not trying to sound like anybody else but yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, especially with your vocals,
Yeah.
in my opinion, you don't sound like anybody else.
Oh, thank you.
You sound like you. And
Good.
It's
Awesome.
Just, it's crazy because
Yeah.
it just sounds so fucking good.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think initially, though, because, singing in the shower. I'm trying to sound like Chester.
Yes.
Like, and no one can sound like Chester. He's just insane. No. But you eventually find your own voice and what you're capable of, what your limits are, and then you can start to try and experiment with that. And whenever I'm now trying to record something, I'm always trying some sort of new technique that I'm just playing around with. Like, for instance, with Human, that final vocal, where it's like kind of high and like kind of almost screamy, I guess.
Sort of hold it at the end.
Yeah. So that was like a new technique where I'm like kind of bringing up the sound further in my throat there. And letting it just kind of sit there, I guess. Whereas most of my kind of screaming vocals are a bit more diaphragm. Like that. But just to open it up and to just try to...
It had that like high screech, but it had such a good longevity.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, because it was just so high up there and everything's pressed up here, it's like easier to hold that for a longer time.
Yeah.
And it does, and to be able to do that and then also be able to go back to like a speaking voice without it sounding croaky it's a skill that it takes practice, and I don't think I could have done that maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, wow. That's so cool, man. There's nothing better than meeting someone who is just so involved in learning more about their voice and trying out different techniques, especially if the person who, if you're doing vocals with someone they don't even know. You're just like doing it. And like, sick. No idea. But it sounds awesome. So to me it was like, oh, that's just something that he can do.
Sure.
But to you, it's like, oh, this is something I'm going to try.
Just trying it out. Yeah. Just giving it a go.
It sounds great. So, it's wonderful to meet someone like that who really has that sort of stuff, like sort of delved down, and obviously who's not afraid to sort of try different things and see how they go.
There's still, of course, that like aspect of like, oh, what if I sound like shit right now? Like, I've been hyped up to be this like amazing singer or whatever, and then I just like bomb or something like that.
That voice is always in the back of every vocalist's mind.
Absolutely. But you just do the best that you can with what you got, and
absolutely.
I don't try to. I guess I don't have an ego about it. I at least try not to have an ego about it. Say I'm the best fucking thing there is, and I'm just like, I like to sing. I want to be able to do this well.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to try and make the sound that I want to be able to make. It's not to try and show off. It's because I like to sing. That's what it's about.
That's brilliant, man. And so did the band that you were with those guys, did that sort of last very long?
It lasted for the entirety, the rest of the time that I was in America. So awesome. I was with them for about like 2 or 3 years, and we had recorded an EP. Right. It was not done very well. The people that we recorded with didn't even like give us like a click track. And we're teenagers. We don't know what we're doing. So we're kind of relying on them to be like, okay, these are like the norms of, how to record a track. Right. And maybe it could be the case that they don't usually record like metal or alternative rock songs or whatever, and maybe if it's more of like a acoustic performance, I guess they don't necessarily have click tracks where it's a bit more organic. I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure. But I would have thought that they would have an idea about that.
Yeah, definitely.
But there was nothing. It like speeds up, slows down on occasions, and it's fine. It sounds kind of shit.
But if you're a musician, you can sort of click into, this sounds a bit strange. If it's, I guess, for maybe the general public, they might suspect something, but they might play past them.
Also, lyrically, it's just a bit like, hey, how you doing? But whatever.
It's awesome.
But after I'd left America, that band for me ended, I suppose. They kept on going for a bit, I think, without me as a vocalist. They had the guitarist as the vocalist for a bit. I think they recorded maybe 1 or 2 more tracks. But apart from that, I think it pretty much went away. Actually, I did very recently in the last 2 years or so, get in contact with these guys again, because they just contacted me out of the blue and was like, hey, you keen to do some like music from like across the sea or something? Like, yeah, sure, why not? So we've got like 3 or 4, maybe 5 songs that we have at like a pretty finished demo state. Wow, we just need to properly record them, but time's a bitch, and we don't have necessarily a timeline on that currently. But it's sounding like way tighter than the stuff we did before, mostly because we've had other band experiences now.
You've definitely matured more.
Yeah, for sure.
And most of you know how to record, or like the main thing that you need to record.
Exactly. Yes, a click track.
Yes.
And then the guitarist also he was like super into guitar. He went to Berkeley.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So like in Boston. So like he's got the whole music degree and everything, which is cool. So yeah, hoping to do some stuff with them soon.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Then leaving America and leaving that all behind, coming back when I was an adult at 18. I did that air quotations adult because I definitely was not an adult. No, but because I was on a visa. There's something called an E2 visa where every 2 years we'd physically have to leave the country and then come back into America.
Right. Okay.
And we could never be a citizen. And I was dependent on my father because he was like the caretaker, I guess, the independent. I was the dependent.
Right. Okay.
But as soon as I became an adult, I wasn't dependent on him anymore. I was my own person.
Wow.
So
wonderful.
I had a choice. I could either come back here, do university or whatever I wanted to do back here, or I could go back to America and like pay 3 times as much for university. And have that whole rigmarole. I'm like,
much easy decision in the end of the day.
it was harder than you think. It was harder than you think. There were positives and negatives, but at the end of the day, we did choose to come, or I chose to come back to Australia by myself. So my parents didn't come back with me, my brother didn't come back with me, and that was that way for 3 years. Right. First couple years rough, very rough. Wow. But this actually gets to where I met Ollie. At Sean's birthday party, actually. The first birthday party that I had with Sean was pretty much when I came back from America.
Yeah.
It was around November-ish, which is when my birthday is.
Yeah.
And since our birthdays are pretty close together, we had a birthday together.
Sick.
And this was my first drink, basically, and everything like that. But I started talking with Ollie, who was a friend of Sean's, went to Aberfoyle, I think, with him. And we just started talking. I showed him my stuff. He showed me his stuff. And just like, oh, yeah, cool. It's another person that plays music. Sweet. And then didn't see each other for a year.
Wow, okay.
Come back the next year, same kind of idea. Me and Sean had a birthday together, and Ollie came back to this. Like, okay, hey, I remember you from last year. Oh, yeah, that's cool, that's good. Done anything? It's like, oh, well. Ollie says to me, I'm meeting with this drummer tomorrow, actually, like tomorrow morning. I heard that you would do singing and stuff, and I saw your stuff before. I thought it was pretty good. You want to come along and just, jam or something?
Sick.
Like, yeah, sure, why the fuck not? I'll do that, yeah. So got Sean to drive me over there because he's the only one that had a car at the time.
Yeah.
And I met Rory.
Brilliant.
There that day. And God, he was awkward to start off with. He was a cool guy, but he did not talk to me really too much at all.
Yeah,
but he...
young ass days too.
Oh, yeah. And he had the kind of... cut with you know what I'm saying, the front, that thing. But no, like I could tell this dude was a machine, dude. Like even back then, like he was on top of things. He was super passionate about his drumming and stuff like that. And Ollie was good too. I really liked the energy that Ollie brought, and his ideas, and he was very driven in that way. But when we started jamming, we're doing some super proggy gent.
Oh wow!
And I was like, I do not understand or connect with this at all. This is like odd times and shit, and it's just like doom 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 doom, and then just it was weird. I'm like, we just went to like get lunch or something like that. I'm like, hey man, I don't know if I'm like vibing with this shit. And he's like, oh no, that's fine. We can explore other things.
Yeah. Okay.
And eventually we refined it down to Endurance, which is our first single. For 4 millennia, which is what we eventually called it. We got Lachlan on board, who apparently was messaging Rory back and forth, and then Dom. I don't remember how Dom came on board. I think it was that somebody had gone to like get a shirt from somewhere that Dom worked at.
Right. Okay.
And he's like, I play bass. So and then he came along. It was that was an instant connection there as well, because the first time that Dom came in, he's just like, I got a couple riffs that I really like. And he played 2 riffs. One was the riff from Ocean. And the other riff was something else. And I'm like, okay, these sound like 2 separate songs. I might have something for the first thing. Cool. And there's something that I've been writing for myself for a while. And, they just meshed well together. And we spawned essentially
brilliant
5 or 6 songs from there. And, we've originally did like the first... suppose you could call it an EP. It was just like a dual release of Endurance and Sacrifice, which we did with Hugh, our favorite person.
Yes.
So that was that. So recorded with him the second time for Where the Ocean Ends, which is, was our biggest EP, I think.
It was a fucking awesome EP.
Yeah, no, I'm really proud of that, and I think a lot of people were very proud of that too. And that was like, that band was the first time that I was coming up with vocals, like lyrics and melodies by myself.
Yeah.
To music.
That's awesome.
Whereas before, I had some input before, not as much.
You're doing a lot of the heavy lifting of your own role yourself.
Yeah. So I was able to, because I used to do like a lot of like kind of really, not screechy screaming or whatever, but it wasn't nearly as healthy, I guess. Whereas here I could bring it back and just introduce like aspects of it here and there. And then be able to explore my range a bit more, particularly my mid range. And really open up and become a bit more to fill that space that I was talking about before.
Yeah, and I guess as well with like the heavier vocals as well. Like if you were sort of experimenting with different things that you could do, you've obviously also got Rory in there who can do a whole different range of that. So it's sort of the angel for you having to do it yourself. You could just be like, hey Rory, can you do this part?
Yeah, true. The funnest part with Rory was that he could, like, we not harmonize, wouldn't be harmonized, but he just emphasized the things that I was doing already. Something that came up in, like, just first off with Rory, his vocals are insane. Like he has the deepest fucking voice I've ever heard. But and the depths that he can get to is insane to me. He sounds like a COD zombie, man. It's nuts.
Like literally, because Roy is the drummer in my band, Kazran, as well. So, there's that one. What was it? We were recording Realm, and he was in for vocals, doing his parts, and we just let it go one day, and he just literally started doing COD zombie noises. And I just said to Jack, can you just save this? Because one day we might need it or something. But I think I was probably on the floor of that studio at that time, just in hysterics, just like, this is, I'm just dying.
It's something to behold, And this was, this came up particularly, was prevalent in our last song that we did, because we had a few people that couldn't necessarily stick around, that started off with Lachlan, because he had school to focus on, because he was like 16 or some shit.
I can't wait to do the podcast with him and talk to him about this stuff.
It's actually crazy. It was kind of odd, but he was a pretty mature guy for like his age, if I'm honest. Very, very interesting conversations we had with him. And then after that, there was the Dom that left as well. After our last single that we had, which personally is my favorite that we've done. It's a 7-minute long song. It's Final Taste of Bliss.
It's a great song.
I just loved that there I could explore a lot more with that vocal. I was talking about before. It's just different techniques and stuff. We had it mixed properly that time, where like the vocals all sat well with the rest of the music, whereas I felt with the EP it could have been a bit better. There's a lot of like guitar that was just turned up a bit too much, I think, that kind of drowned some other stuff out at times. So just mixing better. So I think that one was mixed far better. And I think it's like a second most successful song there. I still listen to it.
I mean, obviously it was your guys' last song, but I just loved it because I went to the show. Tosh was playing bass that night.
Yes.
And like, obviously you guys played that song last, and I was like, dude, this is just such an awesome like final song for you guys to play. Obviously, like Final Taste of Bliss is an awesome title in itself, but like, the way that you just were able to manipulate the whole song, it was like a massive just crescendo, just tearing up in this thing.
It was all in this circuit as well that I met you as well. I think what was our first show day? Was it with?
We played with Larson and you guys, and Favour the Brave at the World's End.
That's it, Favour the Brave. That's right. That was a sick concert,
dude. That was the first time I saw you guys play, and you guys played mainly cover songs. So I think
Lachlan wasn't there. Yeah.
And so you guys were like busting out like Paper Cup by Linkin
Paper
Park,
Cup,
and, like, Down with the Sickness. And that
was
the first like real like metal I'd ever really seen, because I was very as in like just live seen. because I had never really seen a lot of, because obviously we were in Oceans, we played.
Yeah.
We're not,
Yeah.
We weren't Paper Sunsets Oceans. We weren't like, we were indie stuff. So
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I'd heard obviously a lot of that stuff, but I hadn't gotten to see a band live yet, because I didn't really see bands live until I started to be in a band.
To actually be in it, yeah,
So
sure.
you guys was basically my first kind of like metal exposure.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, this is fucking amazing. This is
very
so
interesting.
good. These
Very
guys
cool.
are killing it. This guy's just killing vocals. Like, my God, there's
that's too
another
kind.
band after this? No way. But yeah, that was a sick show. I've got photos on my old bloody Canon camera of that.
Yeah. No,
I was so young.
yeah, we were very young there. Yeah. Like, it was a small show. Like, we didn't have that many people there, but everyone was into it.
Yeah,
like,
it was
for
great.
everything. It was great.
It was such a fucking time.
It was a fun time. That's one of my favorite shows that we've ever played and have been a part of. It was just a very homely and cool atmosphere to be in.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I guess obviously after like the 4 Million stuff, sort of when you sort of obviously went into a different sort of way with live, because I don't think you did too much music. Like,
I don't know how long it's been now since 4 Millennia broke up. Like 2016 odd.
Yeah, that's right.
I reckon it's been about that long. There've been like little tidbits here and there that I've done. Like there's a guy that I'm working now with. His name's Robbie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and like we have like since second year of uni. Like I was just looking to do something, just try something out.
Yeah, okay.
And I messaged this guy on Facebook basically and saying, hey, you sent like a post or something saying you're looking for somebody. I'm like, just send it my way. I just want to see what it is. And it's some pretty decent stuff. And so I bought like a Scarlett Solo or whatever. Just a basic recording. I feel like everyone's got a Scarlett Solo.
Yeah, I've got one which is like the one sort of like input. You got two.
Same. Yep, exact same probably pack. It's the exact same pack probably. So, got little home studio, bought like Ableton as well, and just, started trying to record stuff by myself, and just to get ideas down, and would write every now and again, but no, very much university and teaching really became like the forefront of my life and getting myself situated. I'm like, okay, I'm still doing singing here and there, not really playing shows ever at all. And I'm just doing my own thing, and just doing life really.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I guess that point after a while. Yeah, but even so, like obviously through that you sort of came back. We did a song together, "Human" with Kenzo, which was pretty fun. Which
was like my first reintroduction in the last, I want to say, like 6 years.
Yeah,
or something like that. Back into 5 years back, basically. But just back into the scene. You messaged me out of the blue one day and be like, hey, I've got a song. I'd love for you to be able to sing on. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun. That's cool. So, like, you sent me that, and I used my Scarlett Solo, sent back a demo.
And you're in the other house, I think, back then as well. Yeah, upstairs. We were up there. Yeah, it was sick. That was a cool time.
It's good time. But yeah, and then you got me into the recording studio with Jack and everything, and that's first time recording with a professional. Holy so shit! Cool. It's like 9 day. Yeah. And so I had a blast, man. It was so much fun to be able to actually sing something again for a song that's of an original creation.
Yeah.
And with some really cool people like Jack, yourself, Travis, all those people. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And with Rory again, of course.
Yeah, definitely. He was like that. Yeah. I absolutely love like the band practice and stuff that we had when we started doing some live stuff, and like you and Roy and stuff rekindled, obviously, and like you got on everybody else was great, and it was just like heaps of inside jokes, and I just sort of started to understand a few of them as well, and I was like, this seems like a big band that I probably should have started years ago.
It's a really cool idea. I think what you came up with was, to bring all the people that you've known about through like your years going through like the Adelaide circuit and bringing them back together, the best of the best, I think, to be able to really make something unique and to be able to showcase that to a whole bunch of different people.
And I'm really happy that, cool. Especially like with like yourself, even Lachlan as well.
Yeah, no,
I'm doing it. You guys have just come back to the scene and you've got your own bands and music and
that's
stuff.
Exactly it. That's
great.
That re-recording of stuff and playing those shows with you guys has like been Oh, I missed it so much.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I missed it, and it's literally the best feeling in the world for me. It's a passion of mine. Like
Yeah.
teaching is cool,
Yeah.
and it puts the food on the table and stuff like that. And I really like working with the kids, and
Yeah.
I love science and stuff. But where I really feel at home is when I'm playing up on that stage with a band and we're doing something together, and we've got everyone around me who's with us.
Yeah,
you know?
That's why it was so cool when any time I messaged to see if we had a show or whatever, you
I'm there.
was the first one there.
I'm
man.
there.
was
I
just
love
like,
it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great. Like, if we ever did something, Henk is always going to be there. That's great, man. So I would love to finish off because we've done so well today. Well, I'd love to finish off with you talking about your newest band, Dearest Helpless, because obviously you guys have just started putting out tracks and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And I mainly love the story of just how you even got into that fold because it's a sick story. So please, tells me.
It was that was a whim thing, right? So I'd recorded with you.
Yeah.
And Jack had now had a taste of what I can do. And, I was not expecting anything at all. Out of the blue on Facebook, I got a message from a guy named Brian. He's the bassist of Dearest Helpless. And this thing had been dead in the water for like a year, I think it was. They had recorded everything for the instrumental stuff.
Right.
But then the vocalist... he'd done like 2 tracks or something. Then I guess he just wasn't feeling it or something, and he just like left, or like there was a commitment issue of some sort. So the band's just like, oh shit, we've got like 6 songs here, no vocalist. Damn. I guess these songs just never happening. So it was like for a year that was the case.
Holy jeez, I did not know it was for a year. That's wow. Wow, that makes the story even better.
Yeah, but then everyone had pretty much given up on us. Like, no, it's not happening. But Brian, this champion, he wants this stuff to come out.
Yeah.
So he's asking everyone he knows, do you know a vocalist? And he asked Jack. Yeah. He said, oh, man, I had somebody come through recently. Yeah, no, Henk Plaggemars, look him up or something.
Yeah.
And just random Facebook message saying, hey, I've got a project. I've got 6 songs that are pretty much done. Can I send them to you, see what you think? Like, yeah. Sure, why not? And there are 6 completed songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. What are the lyrics and the melodies? Like, no, you make it up. I'm like, yeah, okay. Just on a plate. Such a gift. Wow. And like, that's nuts. So that's like crazy. That weekend, I smashed, I think, 1 or 2 songs, just sent them back to Brian. He's like, this is amazing. Holy shit, do another one. And in the course of like a month or 2, I completed all 6 of the songs. Awesome, and sent them back to him, and we got back, and he's just like, yep, we're doing this. And he tried to see what other band members would come back. Only were able to get 2 others, the drummer and the guitarist, as well as him, the bassist. They apparently had another guitarist at some point and somebody else, I think.
Right, okay.
But yep, came back into the studio. I did all my vocals, been doing that for like the last 3 or 4 months or so.
Wow.
And then, long story short, we released the first one called Unbound last Thursday.
Yes.
Which, it was very hard to try and choose which one, but
always is, man.
Yeah,
especially if you've got 6 completed tracks.
Yeah, the thing is, when we've shown them to other people, they're like, yeah, no, that one's the best. No, that one's the best. That one's the best. And like all of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like there's nothing here that's just sticking out as like this is the best one. They're all good.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
we're pretty happy with them where they're at.
Yeah.
Like what we were saying before we started this this podcast, I should say.
Yeah.
It was very tricky to try to figure out the cadence to be able to what should be released when.
Yes, absolutely.
And then also getting like all the promotion for different things. We're looking hopefully this Thursday to release the lyric video for Unbound, which looks really cool. Very, very excited about that.
Sick.
Sean, who I was talking about before, did that artwork, the heartbeat did the heart artwork. He's also done some more artwork, which is like kind of a Dream Theater style sort of thing. He's got like leaves and stuff around like a whirlpool or something with trees and stuff and fire coming out and smoke. And he's animated it. That's going to be like for the second song, of which I think we're still figuring it out, but I think it's going to be As It Takes Me, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And then looking to release one more song and then the EP.
Sick.
That's the idea.
Brilliant.
We want to do a film clip, but I don't think that's going to happen because of time constraints and budget.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully we can continue to, make more music, and that's probably my next goal, is that I'd like to make a music video, because I've never done that before.
Yeah,
Sounds cool.
That's another thing that I wanted to do as well before I left, but it's just something I wasn't able to get done.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And it's, as you said, it's just hard to, budget's a big thing, especially music videos, because I mean, like, you can go the easy path and really just do like a live thing, just us in a location, and you just play, like, if you want a separate story,
like storyline,
to call in with it as well, and it's just like, there's a lot to talk about, especially when you're like 5 guys or like a whole band. So definitely, you need like a big meeting, like a big just a whole like a day just to organize it all. Storyboard,
a director, all that stuff to be able to figure it out properly.
We did a few of Paper Sunsets, but they were so basic. Like they were just, and none of them went to plan.
Sure.
None of them went to plan. So they all just ended up just being us having fun in different places.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what they all were.
You got something out. That's all right. You got some fun.
It suited our band perfectly. Cool. That's literally all that we were. But like, even so, it's just, sometimes they just don't go to plan. But those that do, like, fucking good, man. So that's awesome. Nah, dude, this has been an absolute blast.
No, it's been great. Yeah.
Listening to you just chat about all this sort of stuff. It's just been, it's been absolutely brilliant, man. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. And also thank you for all the opportunities that you've given me and rekindling my passion in music. It's been awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Totally fun, man. When you've got vibes like you, mate, you've got to show me.
Oh,
Thank you so much for listening to our episode this week. Feel free to like and subscribe to our socials, and check back here every single week, because there'll be a new conversation with a new guest. We'll see you there.